To understand why it's vital for our judiciary to be independent, it helps to visit the Gettysburg Battlefield. Not because one gets a better sense of history, to the contrary, as Professor Pamela Harris suggested at a past convention of the American Constitution Society, history is condemned to remain a blank slate, because the battle over its meaning never ceases. Here, one sees monuments, but most were commissioned in the 1880s and 1890s by Civil War veterans who were understandably more mindful of the fraternity that got them through the fight, of the valor of their dead comrades, than of the new birth of freedom Lincoln called for in his Gettysburg Address, a call that had been left stillborn by the Supreme Court in decisions like Plessy v. Ferguson, which upheld segregation in 1896, the very same year, as it happens, that the Supreme Court upheld the federal government's power to seize private land at Gettysburg to preserve the battlefield as a national park. Today, equestrian statues of Union Commander George Meade and of Confederate General Robert E. Lee both face the battlefield with equal self-assurance. Lee's posture leaves no clues that he lost this battle, that the South lost the war, and that slavery was abolished. To pick up clues on what happened here in 1863, one might as well stare at this abstract painting entitled Lee's Retreat. Larry Poons painted it 1 year before the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Perhaps Lee's retreat really began then, in 1963, exactly 100 years after the battle. At the cemetery, the identical gravestones of the fallen remind us that armies fought here for the proposition that all men are created equal. At the cemetery, equality is achieved, but it is not for the living. Ultimately, there isn't that much for a visitor to see at Gettysburg besides empty fields, other visitors, and automobiles. Yet perhaps this is the most important thing to see. Perhaps the most important thing to see is that there is nothing to see. As Lincoln noted, we cannot consecrate this ground. It is for the living to be dedicated here, to the unfinished work of history. If this battlefield conveys the meaning of the battle, it does so along the lines Professor Harris suggested at the ACS convention. The battles of history are often fought in court, by lawyers, in cases which shape and reshape the impact of precedent, the damage of bad decisions, the rewards of good ones. But these battles are not decided by canons. They are decided by judges, judges to whom the nation entrusts the blank slate of history. The empty fields of Gettysburg remind us that history is a blank slate, and that we depend on judges to render its meaning. But in order for these judges to rise above the battle, they must be independent, because the rest of us, if we are to achieve equality not just for the dead, but for the living, well, we are met on a great battlefield.